were Judeo-Christian principles and values. So it's important to recognize that part of our history and not let anything wash that away or make it less important. And I think one of the reasons that we have this discussion so much has become, is because of our judicial system and a lot of their decisions that they have made, and especially our Supreme Court. When you look at them, so many times their decisions that are coming down almost lead us to believe that they're trying to give us freedom from religion rather than freedom of religion. And when you look at the decisions the Supreme Court has given us, they've been on all sides of this principle. Either upholding Christian values, then the next decision will be to say that they're not important. It's important to us that we make sure, and as you look at this, we're already right now considering another Supreme Court nominee, that we make sure when we're looking at these justices that they understand their role when it comes to questions such as this one. Their role is to interpret law, not make it, and to make sure that when we're looking at the question of freedom of religion here in America, to do it like our founding fathers did, that it's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion.
Along that same vein, how do you feel about separation of church and state? What's your understanding of its intentional principles? Excuse me, not intentional. Its original principles, my apologies.
I think it's important to understand that the term separation of church and state does not appear in the United States Constitution. That's, I think, a common misperception, perhaps, of Americans. But rather it originated in a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptists. And the Baptists were concerned that the federal government would institute some type of religion for the country. And Thomas Jefferson, in writing that letter to assuage them and really tell them that that was not the intention of the federal government, used that language, this wall of separation, to let the Baptists know that there was no intention of the federal government interfering in their practice of religion. And so that statement from Thomas Jefferson in that letter, today I believe that, as Kristi has mentioned, the court system has taken and run with that far beyond what the intention of the original Constitution was, and has used it to do everything they can to push religion out of the public sector. That wasn't the intention. The Constitution says that Congress shall not establish a religion. It doesn't say anything about a separation, and it doesn't say that those that are Christians or any other religion in the country can't freely practice the religion that they believe in.
Well, just a short answer to this one is that the first time it did appear was in Thomas Jefferson's letter. And I think what it's an interesting, and on a little bit of a different note, was that they were looking for clarification on state laws. And actually what Thomas Jefferson had really agonized over this decision, and what he interpreted was the federal laws and how they applied to separation of church and state. But I think it's important to recognize the fact the court's role, as I stated earlier, that we make sure that they're not overstepping their grounds and their ability and their decision-making on the influence that they have over our federal Constitution, constitutional rights, and reasons that people may have for thinking that the separation of church and state should exist.
I agree. The First Amendment of the Constitution was to ensure that no state religion was established. You remember where we all came from. They had been under the auspices of a state-run, if you will, religion for centuries in different forms. So it's clear that that provision was put into place so people could experience and worship in the manner that they saw fit without any official state religion.
What would you say the role of the federal government is?
Well, I think that they would be good for us to explain to them what their role is. A lot of times the federal government believes that they should be serving, or that we should be serving them. I believe that the federal government should be serving the people. It should be very limited. It should be small in scope. It should be there as our founding fathers' intentions were. That it should be there and be a skeleton that gives us protection of the people, protect those who can't protect themselves, and be as small as possible to allow people the freedoms for the reasons why they came to this country.
Well, the role, we're talking about the federal government. It's established in the preamble of the Constitution. That's all you really